I hope everything works out well for you today. Sveta, my best friend, said in a cheerful voice over the speakerphone. Yes, I hope so too, sighed sadly, and Lisa agreed as she was plucking her eyebrows in the bathroom in front of the mirror. I'll keep my fingers crossed for you. The main thing is to sleep as late as possible at night, and better yet, not at all before dawn. Well, Svet, I'm going to go now. Let's talk about it later. Sure we will. But tomorrow morning I'll wait for you with a detailed report. Out of the phone broke out mischievous laughter. All right, Lisa. Come on, good luck again, bye. Bye, said Lisa. After 3 whole weeks, we did not manage to meet each other normally. Business trips or problems with her relatives or some other nonsense. The situation was beginning to annoy me, but finally today all the stars aligned in the sky. The groom did find time for a date, and Lisa's good luck, too, had a free window. That meant that tonight they would have a wonderful evening, and of course it was not without a sequel. Lisa spent at least an hour grooming. She carefully and long choosing lipstick, mascara, eyeshadow, perfume, tried on several dresses until she chose the most beautiful tight cherry color with a deep cleavage on the neckline. It's with difficulty she found the appropriate set of underwear in the closet. Here everything seemed to be ready. The girl, however, continued to twirl in front of the mirror, assessing herself. It must be said that Lisa was very pretty. In a word, the dream of every man. And for some reason, this dream sometimes did not have full intimacy for months. How unfair and strange is the way of our world. But thank God, today everything was going to get better. This Kirill, too, was probably hungry for warmth and affection. He was a hot man in general, without stopping to look at herself. Lisa remembered the last night with her fiancé. She remembered how his strong, muscular arms had embraced and stroked her body, how he had kissed her with his lips. First, the phone ringing made her shudder and yank her hand away. As if it wasn't the phone ringing, someone burst into the room abruptly. Hello, Kirill. Have you arrived yet? Lisa spoke in a slightly husky voice. Yes. Lisa, I've been waiting for 5 minutes. You said you would come out. It's all right, there you are, maybe not to go up. The groom's voice sounded slightly irritated. He sounded like he was in a hurry. No, I'm ready. I'll be right down. Oh, thank God. Hurry up. Reflection in the mirror, a little fix of her hair, then turned back, ran a quick glance around the room. Crumpled covers scattered here and there, makeup. It's the good thing was to clean up before she left. She wasn't used to leaving a mess behind. Disappointment was inexpressible. Could he not warn her in advance that there would be no intimacy, that he would only sit for an hour in a restaurant and then leave on another urgent business trip? Yes, Kirill was going away for a while, in a nearby town, just for a couple of days, and then promised when he returned, be sure to spend the weekend with her. However, it was not very reassuring, because Lisa is so set up for a wonderful evening. In addition, the groom managed to call her fat. Looks like no reason to eat too much, and already gained a body. Maybe he blurted it out without thinking, and of course apologized later. However, Lisa was not in the mood to forgive such a thing. After that compliment, she pouted, moved her eyebrows, and sat for the entire dinner, hardly saying a word, and did not touch the food. And when, at the end of the date, already on the way out of the restaurant, he suggested she take a cab home, for fear of being late to meet the boss. This finally drove her out of her mind. Lisa threw a scandal, as a result of which she called the guide bad words, and went home on foot. Lisa, yes, chill out, but I'm sorry I forgot to warn you. Why are you even like this? The groom shouted after him for a while, but then someone called Kirill, after which he apparently remembered that he was late for the chief, got into his car, and quickly drove away. Lisa walked slowly along the sidewalk along the highway. She kept the same unhappy expression on her face. Her thoughts were confused. All sorts of things came to mind. But now, she wanted to call a cab. Then the idea of calling Carol to quarrel once more to say that it was all over between them. At one point, she suddenly caught sight of a passing skinny guy in glasses and with a backpack on his shoulder. He was either a high school or college student. The stranger clearly had an interest in Lisa's slender body. Why should I deny myself pleasure? Suddenly a thought flashed through my head. Everyone was staring at me. Anyone would have loved to get me into bed, and I'd had enough of it. Why would I refuse to do that if my boyfriend was such a jerk? I'm going to sleep with the first guy I meet tonight. For Kirill's sake, next time he'll know how to treat me like this. As if noticing the strange glint in the pretty girl's eye, the passerby paused and smiled at her strangely. But he did not dare to approach. He kept walking, turning back every now and then. Lisa, too, turned around and looked at him. She shook her head from side to side. No, that's not so good. Skinny and too much of a baller. You wouldn't give him that. Thought if he was any good looking. The road home went through a park. Birches, poplars, pines, neatly trimmed bushes, flower beads on lawns, fountain, benches. The benches were mostly occupied by cheerful companies of young people and couples in love. The warm summer weather disposes to outdoor activities. Spotting one free bench, Lisa decided to sit down on it. She needed to calm down and collect her thoughts and to banish from herself stupid ideas. Geez, this doesn't make any sense. Was I really ready to cheat on him? I took my phone out of my purse, started nervously twisting it in my hands. In the end, I could not stand it, dialed a number. Hello, Terrell. Liz. I'm sorry. I can't talk right now. I heard her breathless voice come over the phone. I immediately interrupted the call myself. I frowned again and muttered in displeasure. Me, bastard. Good afternoon, beautiful. Busy with my thoughts. I did not even notice how I sat down next to someone. I looked at him. He was a guy in his 20s, tall, stately, broad-shouldered, with short black hair, an eagle nose, and brown eyes. He was wearing a white t-shirt and beige, cropped summer pants. The stranger looked at me and smiled pleasantly. I did not answer him. I just shook my head and turned away. The boy, however, did not give up. Why so sad? Is something wrong with you? I sat a little longer with a look of indifference and then looked at the stranger again. On the whole, he was very nice. I liked guys who looked like that in general. I thought this one was more suitable for the role of a one-time lover than the skinny guy with glasses. No, I'm fine. After a long pause, I suddenly let out a semblance of a smile on my face. The brunette, who had not expected an answer, immediately perked up, also smiled and moved closer to me. Really? Because you look like. I do not know Grandma died. Or the dog died. I shook my head in the negative. No, nobody died. I just had a fight with my boyfriend. Why is he like that? You can't fight with a pretty girl like that. Well, he is. The brunette moved even closer and held out his hand for a handshake. Come on, don't sweat it. Let's get to know each other. My name is Daima. I was in no hurry to respond to this gesture. I lowered my eyes and thought again. So what's going on anyway? Did I really decide to cheat on Kirill? But on the other hand, familiarity didn't mean that there would be love. I mean, we could just hang out. And even if it is love, I promised myself I'd sleep with someone tonight. She looked up sharply, stared intently into the stranger's eyes, smiled again, and put her hand in the guy's palm. And I'm Lisa. Lisa? That's cool. That's a beautiful name. Isn't it? Yeah, you asked me. It suits you very well. And by the way, that dress looks great. I know, I'm being serious. One thing led to another, a casual conversation. Daima said something nonstop, joking all the time. Lisette occasionally smiled back and answered questions briefly. But the sadness and discontent gradually wiped off the girl's face. But it was as if she was even beginning to forget that half an hour ago, she had a fight with her lover. The brunette, meanwhile, was acting all relaxed. At one point, he moved close to her companion and put his hand on her shoulders, sort of embracing. Lisa, after hesitating a little with a neat movement, threw her hand away. However, this young man was definitely not the type to take defeat lightly. Just a minute later, his hand was there again. Of course, she should have resented such insistence, but Lisa looked at the guy with a sly smile, squinting slightly in her eyes. He smiled slightly back too. So Lisa, you're not worried about your boyfriend anymore? No, almost. And good for you. What's with all the fighting? Sometimes you just gotta let it go and focus on something. Or someone. By the way, you like movies. Do you want to watch a movie together? Diesel takes to indulgemetry, as if he got approval for his action, continued to get cheeky. He first grabbed the girl's shoulder and began to gently rub it. Like the 18-3, then his hand slid down her back. The guy stroked her back. The new acquaintances gradually lower and lower, while he continued the same carefree chatter. Lisa seemed to want to stop this nonsense at the same time, feeling a strong desire. Her cheeks were flushed. Her breathing became rapid. She breathed slightly open-mouthed and felt a pleasant longing in her belly. Oh God, what am I doing? It looks like something is going to happen tonight for sure. Well, Kirill, it's your fault, if anything. The girl looked around to see if anyone was looking at her now, and if anyone she knew was around, but luckily there were only strangers around, and they were all busy minding their own business. Fucking. Except occasionally some random passers-by cast curious glances at the pouting beauty. Her palm rested on her knee and slowly slid down her leg. Lisa did not resist. On the contrary, she felt a strong desire. Such behavior? Daima already found a girlfriend. Someone's low, joyful voice made the girl wake up and return to reality. Dima immediately removed his hand from her hip, but with his other hand, he continued to put his arm around her new acquaintance. Lifting her eyes, Lisa saw that right in front of her stood another young man, the same age as the first. Lucky, with a thick neck and muscular arms, shaved almost naked, with a broad jaw and a stern face. He wore an orange t-shirt and loose shorts of the same color, and in his hands he held 2 dark bottles of beer. Yes. Kolya, this is a cool girl. Her name is Lisa. You should meet her. Zimai gestured to his buddy to the girl, who stared at her, frozen with a crooked smile. Lisa, this is Kolya, a great kid. We've been friends since high school. Lisa felt uncomfortable. She somehow did not expect such a turnaround. If it had been just one guy, but now there were 2 of them, and what if the other one wanted something too? What if someone else came along? No, that certainly wasn't in her plans. The blonde looked at Daima confused, then back at his buddy. This other guy was all right too, though by all accounts a jock, not burdened with intelligence, and on the other hand probably very sturdy and ready for exploits. Maybe she should have stopped before it was too late. Cut this unnecessary acquaintance short and gone home already. After hesitating, however, the girl decided not to cut off her shoulder. She nodded and said quietly, "It's nice to meet you, Kolya. It's a pleasure to meet you too. Lisa, you're so beautiful, just in general," said the big guy enthusiastically. "Thank you." Kolya continued to stand and greedily look at the girl and looked not at her face, but somewhere below. Annoyed, Lisa from embarrassment lowered her eyes, feeling that they so unnerved the new acquaintance. Daima shouted at his friend, "Kolya, don't be stupid, don't stay here, it's not a show. Sit down, make yourself at home. I'm just saying." Kolya lifted the beer cans in front of him. "I thought it's not enough. I need at least one more since there's 3 of us now." "I got it right, kid." "Really, there are 3 of us," agreed Daima. He leaned over to the girl, looked into her eyes, and at the same time started to stroke her back with his hand again. "How about a beer? Lisa, will you join us? For to getting to know each other, or maybe you'd prefer something else?" Lisa did not know what to answer her. After thinking for a while, she shrugged her shoulders. "Well, maybe not on the street if you're not used to it. Let's go to a cafe." As a hesitant interlocutor, Brunette continued to sketch out options. Or better go home to someone. You know, at home it's a freer and simpler atmosphere. We can have a heart-to-heart talk without straining. We'll buy something tasty for a snack, watch a movie. He turned his gaze to his friend again. Kolia, how are you, by the way? Anybody home? Kolia furiously shook his head. No, my father's at the cottage for the night. I think he'll be back tomorrow night. That's great. So beautiful. Shall we go and see Kolia? Lisa didn't know how she got here. In someone else's apartment, in the company of two guys she had just met on the street. She drank beer with them, ate some salted fish. The guys did not stop staring at their guest, and Brunette was getting more and more active with his hands. He groped all over her, reached under her dress with his hand. Lisa barely resisted. She was so much turned on that she did not even think to stop. A smile played on her lips. Her eyelids were half closed, and her mind was a mess. That's right. I'm gonna have a good time tonight. To spite Cyril. Oh my God. I'm just acting like a total bitch. That's gotten into me. The big guy was hesitant to join the game. He didn't want to be the third odd man out. But it was obvious that he too was impatient. At one point, Daima abruptly lifted the blonde sitting next to him and forced her to sit on his lap. Lisa didn't even try to jump off the guy, but instead sprawled out on him as on a soft, comfortable chair and closed her eyes either from embarrassment or from pleasure. Lucky for us, Kolia, see what a great girl we picked up. And her boyfriend still fights with her instead of loving her properly. He's a fool. That's what I'm saying. That's my point. Her cherry dress was on the floor, and her black pants were on the floor. Soft noises were heard. Not all three of them were on the bed. They enjoyed each other until morning. When Lisa woke up, it was bright as day. As when she opened her eyes, she did not know where she was at first. At once she felt frightened and jumped up. It's an unfamiliar bedroom. She lay on a crumpled bed in the company of two young men, completely naked. One of them, the one with the more massive body, was snoring loudly. The other slept like a dead man, showing no signs of life at all. My head hurt. And the girl began to remember yesterday's event. A planned, long-awaited date. A quarrel with Kirill, meeting with two strangers, a party for three, and a mad marathon for a few hours. Oh my God, what have I done? She slowly crawled across the bed, trying not to wake the guys. Quietly, she got down on the floor and quickly searched for her clothes among the clutter. Suddenly, somewhere nearby, her phone rang muffled. Picking up everything she needed, the girl left the room, carefully shutting the door behind her. She fumbled for her purse in the unfamiliar hallway, pulled out her smartphone, and immediately took the call. It was Sveta. Hello, Lisa. Hi, how are you doing? Interrogatively asked her friend. I don't know, somehow quietly and distractedly murmured in response Lisa. At the same time, with her free hand, she hurriedly pulled her clothes on. Well, yes, business. Admitted he shook you good. Shook. Yeah, I can tell by his voice that it's been quite a night. Wow, she sounded like she was having a lot of fun. But for some reason, the blonde wasn't in a hurry to back up that mischievous fervor. That night, "Oh ho ho," she repeated without emotion. "Yeah, it's a great night. Listen, Sveta, I'm a little, well, at least the date went well." Lisa suddenly perked up and burst out laughing. Yeah, the date went well. It couldn't have gone any better. But immediately she jumped up, glanced apprehensively toward the bedroom, put her palm to the card, afraid of waking her unexpected lovers. After which she whispered, "Okay, Sveta, then I'll tell you everything. That you're just going to freak out. You'll think that I am completely... Well, I'm sorry. I cannot talk yet. I'll call you back."